What's going on, everybody? Frankie5152 here. And here it is Thursday, going over a little bit of what happened last week in week one of the league here. I came out with a huge victory, 120-83. T.Y. Hilton did not perform, really not too much of a surprise. But other than that, I didn't leave a lot of points on the bench. Most of my starters performed well, and the ones that I did bench and I couldn't really replace with anybody else, so I'm happy to see it. We can go to the rest of the matchups. Crazy Eyes, even without Odell Beckham playing, still managed to get the win. Golden Tate put in a nice performance for him, along with Leonard Fournette, who is going to look solid in that Jacksonville offense. But the Treen Shithouse had Jason Witten in that Pittsburgh defense put in work. And he picked up Jason Witten just before the game started, too, so good move. Bad Hombre beat Good Swallow 108-78. And Wentz We Trust pulled off the huge win over Pterodactyl Queef, even with having Hunt, who scored 43 points, my bad, and Philip Rivers with 23 points on his bench. Got huge performance out of Adam Thielen and Dan Bailey with 15 points. Tyreek Hill for Pterodactyl Queef still had a fantastic game and not too many points left on his bench, so not much more he could have done there. Wherein Wentz We Trust really left a lot of points on the bench. But he got the W, and that's truly what matters. Your girlfriend Keepers beat Thundering Blumpkins 82-76. Antonio Brown was the points machine that he always is. The highlight for Thundering Bumpkins. But also not a lot of points left on the bench except for Matt Stafford, who we started Tom Brady over. And this week I'm probably also going to start Tom Brady over Matt Stafford again. I like Tom Brady over that New Orleans Saints defense rather than Matt Stafford over the New York Giants on Monday night. And we will get into that, the matchups and things for this week right now. So here I am. I'm going up against In Wentz We Trust. And this week so far, he definitely has Kareem Hunt on playing. He's not going to make the mistake of leaving him on the bench again. So let's look at our matchups here. We get Matt Ryan against that little bit more revamped Green Bay defense. They were able to shut down Russell Wilson and his wide receivers. But I believe Matt Ryan is a better throwing quarterback and has better wide receivers than what Seattle does. So I think he'll be able to move the ball a little bit more efficiently than Seattle was against that Green Bay defense. My other choice, of course, has been Roethlisberger at that stifling Minnesota defense who shut down New Orleans. Can't seem to get out of the NFC North there with those quarterbacks. So I think I'm going to take my chances with Matt Ryan over the Ben Roethlisberger who is at Minnesota. No, they're at home. So definitely that home game, especially seeing how they're just that new arena for Matt Ryan. So hopefully they have a great home opener there. Keenan Allen versus that Miami, who hasn't played yet. So we'll have to see how they do. They had that week off for the Hurricanes. So going to look solid there, I believe. And then we have more Marvin Jones Jr. and Chris Hogan as my other two wide receivers. I haven't quite settled on that yet. T.Y. Hilton, I definitely think I'm benching for a little while. They're changing quarterback again in Indianapolis, and it's not Andrew Luck. But Michael Thomas with Drew Brees versus New England. New England gave up a lot of points last week, so they might do that again. But at the same time, Chris Hogan might go off in New Orleans, and that's complicated. So I haven't quite picked up my mind on that one. I think either way is okay. Perriman, Cole Beasley, those two are definitely going to stay on the bench. T.Y. Hilton staying on the bench. Devontae Adams is another toss-up, but Jordy Nelson is looking healthy right now and looks to be his Aaron Rodgers' favorite, so I'm going to leave him there for now. Then we go to the running backs, Ty Montgomery and Matt Gilsey. Ty Montgomery is a lock in at that running back number 1 spot for me right now. The way that they used him and the way he was running with authority against that Seattle's defense was really impressive to me. So I'm going to stick with him. Matt Gilsey, he had the 3 touchdowns last week, which is great. But outside of that, he had 45 yards. And that kind of scares me. I'm thinking about switching up to Theo Riddick. I know Amir Abdullah looks great, but Theo Riddick, great in that third down defense. And Jamal Charles, I don't think he's quite football ready yet, so I'm going to leave him on the bench for sure. So what is some of your guys' thoughts on Matt Gilsey or Theo Riddick? I think I'm going to stick with Gilsey, see how he does this week. Although I do predict this might be a lower week for him as Tom Brady tries to get his passing game going and really opens up with, hopefully, Chris Hogan. Carrier is going to be the same every week. I'm not looking to change that one every week, although I could. Or the Carolina defense, I'm going to stick with them. They looked solid last week against San Francisco. Buffalo may be a tougher test this week. But that's what I'm looking to keep it with. And then we'll take a look at all these matchups. I've got a tough matchup, of course, with and Wentz we trust, especially if some of those players perform like they did last week. Latrine Shithouse for good swallow. Take a look at how their lineup is set right now. Jordy Nelson, of course, is a powerhouse. A.J. Green did not do well, but against a weak Houston defense tonight, and they took another shot with a PED suspension. So, and they were kind of just ran over by Jacksonville. So Andy Dalton and A.J. Green will hopefully light up the scoreboard tonight, and that's my projection for that. Dez Bryant against that Denver defense is going to be tough because they're going to single him out just like he was last week. So we'll have to see. But he has Jason Witten as well. Dalton Cook, wow, did he look great against that New Orleans offense? New Orleans defense, but how will they do against the Pittsburgh defense? That's a different story. And then Mark Ingram, who was just kind of there, but that New Orleans offense wasn't quite in sync, so hopefully they look better against this New England defense, but who will tell? Only time will tell, sorry. Looking at their benches, not a lot I would change. Maybe Stefon Diggs because he looks good. I actually like Jacksonville over Tennessee this week as well. They looked really good last week, so it might be kind of that trap game where, they were great last week, so they'll probably do it again, and then they shit the bricks. Been known to happen more than once. So tight matchup here. But I'm going to go with Cam Newton. The A.J. Green combo, I think they're going to really light up the scoreboard this week, so that's going to be my pick is Latrine Shithouse. Then we have Crazy Eyes versus Thundering Blumpkins. We got the Kirk Cousins, Golden Tate. Odell Beckham is questionable, but they are saying he will probably play. I believe it will be limited snaps because he did not look good on his ankle last week. Sorry about that. Fighting off a sneeze. Leonard Fournette will probably have another great game against Tennessee there. I don't know how well Houston will do. That offensive line is not very good, so Lamar Miller he's going to get a lot of touches, but I don't know how well he will do. The 30 points for Tom Brady, I think, is still a little high, but against that New Orleans defense, I think they look to rebound from the loss from Kansas City. Love DeMarco Murray and Marshawn Lynch. That's just two powerhouse running backs right there. Eric Ebron is a hit and miss kind of guy. Denver and Seattle's defense. Denver's defense I do not like against that Dallas offensive line. Seattle, though, is going against San Francisco, so I like that matchup there. Yeah, sitting Dante Moncrief, no Andrew Luck. That's probably smart there. Danny Amendola is questionable with the concussion protocol. Colby Fleener might be a great tight end spot over Jordan Reed against the Raiders. Raiders. Who are the Raiders? I don't know that. Against the Raiders. So that was one thing I'd be looking at, maybe to switch that up. Sterling Shepard against that Detroit defense, even though they were able to shut down Carson Palmer in Arizona. Arizona does not travel to the East Coast well. Tyler Eifert against Houston might be a good start up, but over Eric Ebron as well. So I would probably switch that up if I was the manager of these teams. I am not, so they do what they please. David Johnson Jr., Woods. It's going to be another tough matchup here. This might be another one. Odell Beckham plays, they might win, but for this one, I got to go with Tom Brady and the running back combo, DeMarco Murray and Marshawn Lynch. I think Tom Brady gets back on the scoreboard, and then Murray and Lynch put up some points, a touchdown each for each. So I'm going to have to go with Thundering Blumpkins for this matchup here. Pterodactyl Queef and Bad Hombre. Let's see here. We got the Russell Wilson and Carson Wentz matchup. I like both those. Carson Wentz has a tough choice in Kansas City, who was able to shut down Tom Brady. So that will be tough, and it's at Kansas City. Not looking too great for Carson Wentz in that matchup. So if he has a better option, I might look into that. Julio Jones, I am hoping to get on track Sunday night against Green Bay. Terrell Pryor, the Raiders' defense is much improved. Could be a tough one. They're out in Los Angeles. Kelvin Benjamin, I hope he gets on track with Buffalo. I think he'd score for a long touchdown, at least once on Sunday. Tyreek Hill against that Philadelphia defense. I like that matchup there. Randall Cobb versus Atlanta. You never know who the passes are going to come from Aaron Rodgers. It could be a big night for him, or he could not get very much at all. You just never know. Rodgers finds the weak spots and exploits it. And if Randall Cobb is running those routes, it could be a big night for him. Eric Decker is going to be a hit and miss PPR guy against Jacksonville. Just the question whether the points come from if he can find the end zone or not. Then we got the running backs, Jordan Howard and Sean McCoy. Tampa Bay's yet to play, so that defense is going to be fresh. He is questionable. Let's see what he's got going on. I do not see Bears leading back, but Tariq Cohen did look good last week. So we will see. Yeah, shoulder. He's a late addition to we will see. My guess is he'll still play, so not that big. But Cohen does handcuff him a little bit. Ezekiel Elliott, even against that Denver's defense, I still like him. That offensive line is just beast. Just depends whether or not they can overturn that suspension or not. Kickers will be kickers. Now Houston defense at Cincinnati, or the Raiders versus Washington. Both those are very tough matchups. I think that Houston's defense is hurting from that weak offensive line and spending a lot of time in the field. So it's just a matter of whether they can get a good setup early in the game. Andy Dalton, of course, though, did not look crisp and threw some wild passes. So there may be an interception in there or a couple of sacks early, but Houston's defense will probably get wore down later. On the bench, not a lot going on their benches. Jordan Matthews, C.J. Anderson. I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I might start C.J. Anderson against that defense. But at the cost of Jordan Howard, I don't know about that. I guess it depends who gets the goal line carries there in Chicago. Of course, there's Coe in there. I would not start him yet. It could just be a fluke 1 week. Tough matchup here for both of them. But I'm going to go with... I don't like the quarterback, but I like the wide receivers and running backs. I think a little bit... Well, I like the running backs more, but I like the wide receivers there. Russell Wilson hit and miss. I'm going to go with Bad Hombre with the upset there. That's what I'm going to do. Then we have your girlfriend's keeper and Kicking Praters. Kicking Praters had a rough week last week against me. Jameis Winston, of course, was one of the players that did not play last week. I look for Bell to get a little bit more touches against Minnesota, along with Christian McCaffrey there in Carolina. I look for Bell to have a better week this week, getting more football touches. Still might be a limited role for him. Still getting used to football speed after being out for as long as one and not participating in preseason. Brandon Cooks, he missed some penalties last week. Look for a good big bounce back game for him against New Orleans. Baldwin, I don't like Russell Wilson as a throwing quarterback even against San Francisco. So I don't project seeing those 14 points unless he finds the end zone. Crabtree in Oakland against the New York Jets. I, of course, like that one. Then, for defenses set up so far, New York versus New England. I like the New England defense against that New Orleans offense. Drew Brees seems to have kind of lost a touch a little bit here, but he may bounce back this week. And then New York versus Detroit. I think this will be a good game to know where these two teams really are. New York's coming off that loss in Dallas. Detroit's coming off the win at home from Arizona. So I look to learn a lot about Detroit that game. Hopefully they can do more than just another fourth quarter comeback. And then we got to look at running backs. I like Melvin Gordon against Miami. Todd Gurley looked a lot better last week. So might be an easy start there. Who are those other running backs? Carlos Hyde against Seattle would probably leave on the bench. Amir Abdullah against the New York Giants defense. I also like him, but I think if you're going to do the smart thing, you're going to start Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers as his easy start at quarterback. No. Then wide receivers, you got Crowder against the Raiders. Brandon Marshall against Detroit. Didn't do a whole lot last week, and who knows if Odell Beckham plays, whether he will be a good wide receiver 2 or not. Other than that, he's a wide receiver 3 with Sterling Shepard. Mike Evans is an easy start there. Look for him to get his season underway. Tyler Lockett, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Russell Wilson as a tossing quarterback. Nelson, going to be a tough matchup here. I think last year's champ might. I'm going to have to give it to... I like Brandon Cooks and Bell to get better production this week rather than they had last week against me, thankfully. Delaney Walker in Tennessee, of course, against that Jacksonville. He seems to score well against them. So I'm going to go Kicking Praters, but in a very close matchup. I look to see both of them at least in the 110s, 120 points. So there's some of my starts and sits. One of my thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. How's your fantasy league? Did you start off with good 1-0 like myself, or are you trying to come from behind? I did not take too much of a look at a waiver wire yet. My team doesn't really have a need, or you don't know if somebody just had a good week 1 yet. I usually wait for week 3 before I start looking at the waiver wires. Too bad. Just to pick up a player who had one good week. Sometimes they get hot and then they just die off. Sometimes they stay hot. So, till next time, guys, good luck, and I'll see you guys on Sunday.